How you doing, guys? I'm just doing a quick video response for Huck0, oh boy, 1955. I think I got it right. Maybe. If not, I'll correct it. We were talking about the limit switch, which now that I open the hood, you can't see it. What's not a limit switch? Well, actually, they are limit switches, but my wide open throttle switch back here. Now, I had passed a comment about using like a push button setup, like you see in Fast and Furious and stuff like that. A lot of people do it that way. There are some people that use the push button switch as well as the wide open switch in conjunction with each other. So when they have it to the floor, they could actually regulate the nitrous like he was talking about, which is definitely a good idea, because if you put the nitrous on and it's too much, you could release it. For me, the reason I do it this way is on a tunnel ram setup with the carburetors mounted sideways, okay, until it's wide open, half of your motor will start to run lean. And that's been proven on the dynos, okay, because it'll pull the fuel into one and it's harder for it to get over to the other one. That's another reason why these spacers actually help, because the further you bring it away from the runners, easier it is to make the pass on both sides. So if you're running, I'll just say for argument's sake, 3/4 throttle, okay, you have one side of the engine running correctly and one side of the engine's actually running a little bit lean. It has a hard time getting the fuel over to that side of the engine. Also, as you guys know, when I fire it up, it only fires up on half the engine and the other side comes in. That's the reason I run the wide open switch. I want to make sure that the engine is getting the correct fuel ratio to both sides of the engine before that nitrous even comes on. Okay, as per running the button with it, if I had a separate button, like I have a button, you know, I'll lay the battery back on. It's dark in here, I didn't turn on the other lights. So, now I also have a button on my shifter here, if you listen. That's my line lock. Then there's the nitrous there. Now if I ran a separate button there, I will take my hand off it. I know the way I am. If anybody knows anybody that has crashed a race car or a car going fast, usually the next thing they do is put their shifter in there and put both their hands on the steering wheel. Either that or they have a really big set of balls after that. So me, as soon as this car goes into third gear, my hand comes off and goes on the steering wheel. I feel much safer that way. Now, I've seen people regulate nitrous to horn buttons. This car only has a horn button in the center, or else I would have did that. That's a 66 wheel. 64 wheel had a hoop. But for me, like I said, there is no right or wrong. That's what I tried to relay back in the message. There is no right or wrong. But for me, I know I will take my hand off that button. And for me, it's easier to whack that if there is a problem. And so that's why I wire it this way. But I could definitely understand why people wire it with the separate button. But like I said, I'm the type of person that my hand is going to come off that shifter. So usually, even in the pictures, you can't see it now, you see me doing a burnout, my hand's already off the shifter. I usually do a first and second. I put it right into second. After second gear, I'm good. I never really put into drive. Sometimes I do, but I won't, because this is a manual valve body. So my hand is always moving on the shifter. But as soon as I'm in high gear, my hand comes off the shifter. And even if I'm driving down the road, I like to rest my arm on the armrest, so I don't rely on my left hand. I rely on my right hand because I'm righty. So that's the reason I do it this way. Had a couple of cars in the family where you run the spoked wheel, and in the spoke is a button, and then you got that curly Q cable coming off. Had a button on one side for nitrous, a button on the other side. You had to press that button to put the car in reverse as well as put in reverse, because of the way the valve body was set up. And if you took your finger off, you go into neutral. So, but I don't have that option either. So that's the reason I do it. Like I said, the things I do they're not right or wrong. They're just what my mind either comes up with and has seen before in the past. I don't know if I need the key. I need the key. I don't keep the key in the car anymore. So we would listen to some 8 tracks. So with that, that's all I wanted to say. And as for the gallons per hour on these pumps, I have no idea. I have no idea what the gallons per hour on the pumps are, but I wouldn't even want to guess to what they are. I could look it up, but I'm sure each manufacturer says something different. You know, it's the same pump, but there's no way it's not going to keep up with feeding one of these lines. No way. And like I said, and if it does, it'll turn off. So you got to remember, it's not feeding the engine. Also, it's only feeding those. There's actually 4 solenoids back there, 2 for nitrous and 2 for fuel. You see them right back there, hiding in the corner. Back in there. Man, this is nasty dirty. So, well, that's it, guys. We're gonna come back out here, and like I said, this one is for the front fuel system. Yeah, you didn't see those. Some more with street rod and 100 name on it. I'm gonna come out here. I want to make sure this gasket fits, and then I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna clean up those moldings. And we'll get this windshield in the next day or 2. So.